All right, so today our discussion is on the governments and their types. This is a question that is as important as the question of the electoral system because the type of government under which you live it makes a lot of difference when it comes to how you interact with it and what to expect from it. Okay, of course, you can only engage with it depending on the kind of government that you have. So we cannot realistically expect you to be as active politically if you're living in North Korea as if you were living in Switzerland, right? But let's explore how this works and what are the different types of governments. First thing is, what is a government system? So, a government system refers to the framework through which a state or community is organized and governed. And any government system has basically three key functions. One is establishing laws and policies. Second is maintaining order and security. And third is providing public services and welfare. The degree to which these governments do these functions vary depending on the government. Okay, so it tends to be the case that nowadays Western countries are more geared towards public services and welfare, and that can be a pro or a con depending on how we look at it. Maybe we'll discuss that in a future video. But let's continue. What are the major types of government systems? Basically, you have three types: democracy, authoritarianism, and totalitarianism. Okay? With the democracy, power is held by the people, typically through elected representatives. An example of that is the United States, Canada, and India. Okay, so notice that we put India alongside Canada and the United States because the extent to which a democracy is actually a scale. It's not on and off, it's not black and white. We will see later, but basically there are types of democracies and there are degrees to democracies. We will see that in next. Authoritarianism. So their power is concentrated in a single leader or a small elite with limited political freedoms, like North Korea, Saudi Arabia, and China. The third one is totalitarianism, and that is an extreme form of authoritarianism where the state seeks to control every aspect of public and private life. An example of this is Nazi Germany and Stalinist Soviet Union. But let's consider here that the lines between authoritarianism and totalitarianism is actually kind of blurred because we can say that North Korea is kind of a mix of both. Okay, so it is an authoritarian government, but it's also totalitarian as well. So, what are the variants of authoritarian governments? We have hereditary monarchy, where power is passed down through family lines, like Saudi Arabia. We have a military junta, where the military controls the government, like in Myanmar. We have a single party state, where a single party controls governance, like China. And we have a theocracy where religious leaders govern based on religious laws, like in Iran. And we can, here again, the line is a bit blurred because we can say that Saudi Arabia is also a kind of theocracy, if you think about it. What are the kinds of democratic governments? So we said before, it's also a scale. Not all democratic countries are the same. So there are three kinds, basically, three variants. The first one is direct democracy, where citizens directly participate in decision making, like in Switzerland, and I think Switzerland is the only example of that. The second one is representative democracy, where citizens elect representatives to make decisions on their behalf, like United States, and we have parliamentary democracy, where the executive branch derives its legitimacy from the legislature, like the United Kingdom. What exactly is the difference? Okay, let me explain that in simple terms. In the United States, the House of Senate, the House of the Congress, and the executive branch, the President of the United States, they both get voted in directly by the people. So the people there, they basically vote multiple times. They vote twice, let's say, or they vote for the people in the legislature, Okay, the people who make the laws, like the Congress and the Senate, and they also vote for the executive branch as represented by the President of the United States. So both of these branches of the government, they get their representation directly from the people. But in the United Kingdom, it's kind of different. There, people vote for the parties directly, and then the winning party, the party that has the most representatives in the House of Commons, becomes the ruling party in the executive branch. So the Prime Minister in the United Kingdom is also the head of the winning party in the Parliament, the party that has the most representatives there. Okay? That's basically the difference. What are the government systems we have? We have the oligarchy, where a small group of people hold power, often for corrupt or selfish purposes. We have plutocracy, where power is held by the wealthy, decisions favor the interests of the affluent. And we have bureaucracy, where administrative systems manage government operations, often leading to rule by unelected officials. Now, nowadays we hear a lot on the internet about the deep state. So you hear many people, especially in the United States now, they speak about the deep state. And basically, whenever you hear the deep state, you need to think about bureaucracy, because you have people there who are in power, they have a lot of power, but they were not voted in by the public. They are ruling through the internal rules of the different government branches. There's a lot of rules that they have in order to for the government to function, and they basically rule the government. They kind of control a lot of the government functions through these rules, and this is called bureaucracy. Let's have a comparative overview of government systems. So, we have first democracy. The power source there is elected representatives. Examples: USA. Key characteristics is citizen participation and civil rights. Authoritarianism, you have centralized authority. North Korea, limited freedoms and censorship. Totalitarianism, you have state control over life. An example of that is Nazi Germany, and there you have complete control over society. Oligarchy, you have a small elite group. An example of that is Russia to some extent, and power there is concentrated among a few. Plutocracy is the power source is wealth, and we can say, there's like a blurred line between oligarchy and plutocracy, but that's a topic for another day. But basically, historically speaking, there existed kingdoms like that. I think there was the kingdom of Carthage in northern Africa, where it was ruled by a class of wealthy merchants, and they didn't even have a proper army. They just used to use their money to hire armies, basically armies for rent, mercenaries. And there, of course, the policies favored the rich. The last one is what we just discussed in the slide before, is bureaucracy, and the power source is administrative systems, and it is ruled by unelected officials. Now, I don't think there's any country that is completely 100% ruled by bureaucracy, okay? But I think in every country and in every government, there's a level of bureaucracy, and that level differs from one country to another country. What can we conclude? So, understanding government systems is essential because recognizing different types help you engage with your political environment and help you understand your rights and responsibilities. Okay? And the second thing that you need to keep in mind is that you need to investigate, you need to understand what kind of system that you operate under in order to be able to judge the system under which you live, and to understand for yourself how to make that system better, how to judge the politicians, how to figure out ways to make your country governed in a much better way. Okay, so keep these two things in mind. Okay, so thanks for tuning in. I will see you again in the next video.